Hello, my name is Ali, and today I'm going to be teaching all of you how you can make it through a long distance relationship. When encountering a long distance relationship, you may have many barriers that will seem unpleasant. It's important that you overcome these barriers so that you can make your long distance relationship work. One barrier many people have gone through is jealousy. Jealousy is one of the biggest barriers when it comes to long distance relationships. It can be really hard to get over jealousy when there's no real way of telling what is or isn't happening on the other side of the relationship. Now, a lot of people go through the issue of comparing themselves to others. It's important not to compare yourself to others because everyone needs to realize that they're perfect and beautiful the way they are. Sometimes people read too little into things and it can cause arguments easily. It's important to stay calm and relaxed when you start to feel jealous. A tip would be to take a step back and reevaluate the situation and see if you may be overreacting. A lot of people go through insecurities. Many people throughout the world have tons of insecurities, and that's also a really big barrier of long distance relationships. As it's very common, it can enlarge as you have a long distance relationship. It's common to have worries about your significant other's friends, especially when you have never met them before. With this being said, it's important to communicate with your significant other and address the issues of why you feel insecure. Because if you don't address those issues to your significant other, then more problems will erupt and no one will ever know what you're actually feeling inside if you don't explain. It's very important to be open to change when you're in a long distance relationship. When being in a long distance relationship, you will go through tons of change. Even throughout your life, you will have tons of change and you need to learn how to be open to it. This can consist of having new friends, having different schedules, and having less time to communicate with your significant other. It's important to remember that the distance will not last and it will eventually end one day. In order to be open to change, first you need to be able to accept the fact of being open to change. It's important to tell yourself that you're willing to take the change. Think of change as a positive in your life and not as a negative. Now, long distance relationships have a lack of intimacy as you are not able to see your significant other very much. One way to get over this is you just need to be able to communicate more with your significant other. You need to be able to go and see them as much as possible. It's not okay to not be with your significant other for more than 3 months because then the fire will burn out when you're not really meaning it for it to. Miscommunication is a big issue when it comes to long distance relationships. Now, when you have miscommunication, it's really important that you try to resolve the situation as soon as possible. It's important that when you feel like you're not understanding what your significant other is saying, that you ask them to repeat what they're saying or ask them to go into more detail about why they mean a certain thing that they mean. To not have miscommunication, it's really smart to not interrupt your significant other, especially during arguments. Because when you interrupt during arguments, the situation gets more infuriating and everything will just go downhill from there. In order to keep a long distance relationship happy, it's important to see each other as much as possible, like I already said. Now, fighting is not necessarily a bad sign within a long distance relationship, and it can happen very commonly. I believe that fighting doesn't really mean that you shouldn't be with someone. It just shows that you have the miscommunication, and it does show that you care about the person. Because if you weren't willing to fight with them, then you wouldn't care about them. That is pretty much how you can get through a long distance relationship. It's important to try to cut out all those barriers so that you don't have any miscommunication, so you have a less chance of lack of intimacy, so you're not comparing yourself, and so you don't feel as many insecurities as you normally would. Thank you for listening to my speech.